Oh, welcome back. I'm going to do some electrical bits tonight. So a few things really. One is the ignition barrel. So the ignition switch on the car in the racing regulations is actually a free choice. You can do what you want. For most drivers, myself included, the ignition barrel does get in the way of your knees a little bit. So I'm going to remove it and I'm going to swap it with a dash mounted toggle switch. So that's the plan. So I've just unbolted it. Nothing really to report there. I mean, the bolts are apparently some sort of anti-theft bolts. I think, I could be completely wrong here, but I think what you're supposed to do is when you bolt it on is keep cranking on the torque until the heads snap off, so that a thief can't just come and unbolt your ignition column and have access to like, hotwire the car or whatever. But it seems like a bit bollocks to me. So I've unbolted it and you can see it's just dangling down in the footwell. We've effectively got two terminals on the back, three wires, but one of the terminals there is the same terminal as you can see. So my thoughts are if you bridge those two terminals, the ignition should go live. So I'm going to experiment with that, try hot wiring my own car, and if that works, I know I can pull those plugs off and then connect them appropriately to that ignition switch I just showed you. So I'm going to find a bit of wire to hot wire this, and I will be back in a second. Okay, so my Hollywood moment. Sorry, that's a crap view. The steering column's in the way. So yeah, I've just got a piece of wire which I'm going to use to try and bridge these terminals. And if we hear the fuel pump priming, that tells me I think what I think I know about the switch is accurate. So put that one on there, that one on there. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys could hear that, but that was giving me some fuel pump priming. So I know I can now disconnect these, crimp some new terminals on to match the new plug that the new switch that I've got, and then we should be good to go. So I'll do that now. Right, welcome back. We're in the cockpit, as you can see. I've not videoed much tonight, to be honest. I just wanted to get a move on, so I do apologise. But I have reinstated the flasher. If you remember, I removed that for the IVA because it makes the lights go dim, which would be an IVA fail. And I have now removed my steering column. Removed my ignition barrel. What I've just got left dangling is the immobiliser loop. So you can see I've just got my key and my immobiliser kind of tangled up in it just so the car starts. What I'll probably do is tether that up out of the way, and I think I might get one like those carabiner clip things, whatever they're called, so I can hang my immobiliser on it. So on a track day or on a race weekend or whatever, it's just up there and out of the way, but I can just unclip it and take it away, and then the car immobilises. And then what I've done is I've the wiring that went to the ignition barrel has been rerouted over here. So we've got the rocker switch thing now. So if I open the flap and switch that, like as you can see, we get ignition, the start button works as usual. And then if we need to shut it off in a hurry, it's just a case of close the flap, and there we go. So, oh no, the fire extinguisher cables are back in as well. If you remember, I had to unthread those as well for the IVA, so they're back in there. So I need to get some dual lock on here so I can stick my lap timer thing on there. But we're getting there. Nice bit of progress tonight. I'll check back with some more wiring-y stuff tomorrow, I think. One more quick electric-y bit because it's dead easy. This is the fuel inertia or fuel rollover switch, or whatever you want to call it. If the car goes upside down or whatever, a little ball bearing under this rubber cap, I think it's a ball bearing, kind of hops out of a cup or something, which breaks the circuit and stops the fuel pump from working. Basically to stop you from spewing fuel all over yourself if you're upside down in the gravel or whatever. The problem is that little ball bearing or whatever that switch mechanism is under there apparently can hop out, or does hop out regularly on track. So with the kit, Caterham actually provide a bypass for this. So it's literally just a case of, if I try to crank the car now, it'll crank, but no fuel will go, it won't start. So if I just connect that onto there, and obviously I will do this tidally so it's not flapping around. Wow, I can't do anything with one hand. Come on, we can do it. So there we go. So that's now effectively bypassed. And just to demonstrate, there we go. Car still runs. So yeah, another little job ticked off. But I guess what I will do is just unscrew the switch from there and then leave that in a P-clip or something. I'll have it P-clipped alongside it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So then I can easily reattach it for whatever reason. Yeah, good evening. Plus 24 hours, I suppose. So next on with the kind of electrical gubbins that I'll be doing is this little setup here. So for the V-Box, if you just buy V-Box kind of on its own with the cameras, it's got built-in GPS, so it'll do lap timing. You can infer certain things like when you come on the brakes, because it will detect the change in the G-forces. So you can sort of see from the G-force traces when you started braking, and you can even see kind of what your pedal pressure, you can infer what the pedal pressure would have looked like as well, based on the kind of curve. So you can kind of get away with it just as it is, but of course there's an opportunity to add more, then why not? So what this is a kit, quite a cool little kit from, I think it's from Fastmate Racing. The product is called Race Sense. This is explicitly called out in the regulations for the Caterham Academy. This plus V-Box is basically the only brand of items that is homologated, or whatever the term is, for the Academy regulations, because it does interact with things like the ECU and the ODB and the CAN bus network on the car. So that's why Caterham need to kind of approve it and stuff, to make sure that it's not putting a cheeky remap on there or whatever. So this stuff is all kind of pre-approved for the Academy. And what this box basically does is it connects to the ODB port, and it takes information from the ECU, like the RPM, throttle position, and it passes that over over CAN bus to the V-Box. So the V-Box, when you look at your data logs after a session, or if you watch the videos, you can overlay that data onto the video. And the one thing the car is missing, kind of with the factory ECU setup, well, it misses a lot of things. It's a fairly basic setup, but it misses any kind of brake signaling into the ECU. So you've got kind of two ways to measure brake inputs on a car for data logging purposes. You can either measure it like a switch, like using something similar to what was already in place for the brake light, and simply have an on-off, reading, which is kind of okay. It looks sort of okay on an overlay. You can see a red bar quickly fill up when you're applying the brakes, but it's not too good for data logging. You can't see what the pedal pressure looked like and how you tapered that on or off and things like that. So where this Race Sense box comes in is it will add a T piece here into the brake plumbing coming out of the master cylinder, and they will put a brake pressure sensor in there, which terminates into this box and ultimately back into the V-Box via the CAN bus. So I'm not going to install this in full tonight, but what I do want to do is get the T-piece on, because I'll need to bleed the brakes afterwards, and I've got hopefully got some helping hands available at the weekend to do some brake bleeding, and I'll plan out where I'll run the wiring for that. It's really quite simple. You are allowed to drill it through the firewall, but you need to make good on this firewall. You need to make sure that it's fire resistant again after you've done it. So there's a specific fireproof kind of sealant that you need to put in the grommet in the hole, and then cover it with like a fireproof aluminium tape. So I won't do all of that now, but I'll kind of plan out what I'm going to do. And then the other thing I might do tonight is stick the rain light on the back. So more updates to come. Okay, really quick update because my phone battery is about to die. So I've put this T-piece on with the sensor. It's not connected to anything yet. Just needed to kind of gently manipulate the hose around a little bit. Not ideal, but just got to be really careful you don't kink any of the corners. But I got away with that. I'm happy with that. And I've just bored through a 19mm hole into the firewall, so that's where my grommet's going to go for the connection. I'm also going to utilise the same grommet actually to run the V-Box microphone into the engine bay somewhere, because that way I can kind of keep it out of the weather, keep it out of the wind noise, and maybe get a nice bit of intake sound on the video clips. So I run those through, and once I'm doubly sure I'm happy with everything, then I'll do the fire sealing bit at the end. Okay, I need to tidy the wiring up a little bit and clip it all out of place, but you can see it's coming through the grommet up in this corner, running across the back, and then the race sense stuff will live on the tunnel top there, and the V-Box will have it where I had it before, kind of dual locked into the passenger footwell. So I mean, it's not the tidiest job in the world, but it's in keeping with the rest of the wiring. It'll be fine, it'll be out of the way and still accessible if I need to do anything with it. Okay, final update for tonight. I've rushed through this because my phone's on its arse. I've put the rain light on. So P-clip on the roll cage, dead easy. Clip the cable down here, goes in through the boot, round the back of the washer bottle and down into where the fuel filler protection cover thing is. And then you rob the rear fog light. That's the wiring you steal for it. So that's now defunct. I seem to think when you get racing, you can take these two lights off. I don't think you need them on the car. I think you can just blank them off. But yeah, I've stolen the lights for that, the wiring for that. So now, when I press the fog light button, we get our rain light. So another job ticked off. Lovely job. Hello, welcome back. It's the weekend at last. I missed a couple of little things, which didn't really go over too much because we've done V-Box stuff before. As you can see, that is absolutely not the V-Box's final resting position. But I've just got everything connected back up just to check a couple of things. One is I've got a slightly different camera position this time. It was on top of the roll cage for brands, which, is going to give you the best, most, unimpeded view or whatever. But there's a couple of problems with it up there. One is every time I get in and out of the car, there was risk of banging it and knocking it, which is just annoying. It's well out of the way down here, which is good. And the other is I actually quite prefer a lower perspective, as long as it's not impeded by rearview mirrors and bad exposure settings on tin top cars and things like that. I think a camera view that's closer to the driver's eye line is good. So I wanted to just test a few camera positions, and I quite like that one for now, but we'll see how we get on with it. I've remounted the pedal cam. Obviously the wire needs running out of the way properly, but getting rid of the ignition barrel has really helped me there. It looks like that is way in the way, but it's not. It's miles away from my shins by the time I'm in the car. And there's no real danger of kicking that when you're getting in and out. So it's nicely out of the way. Gives you a really good view of the pedal box down there. And then we've got the OLED screen, which we kind of covered. That's in a much better position now. It was just Velcro to the dash last time. Just having it there will mean it's more in my peripheral vision while I'm driving, which is handy. So I need to kind of job for today, really. Between other things, will be to tidy all this wiring up, get all of the excess wiring bundled up, strapped up in the dash out of the way, so that's all nice and tidy. I've also mounted this cage-mounted mirror as well. Now these, you can buy special mounts for these, and you can get kind of a longer one and a shorter one, so you can angle it where you need it to be. I've cheaped out and I've just used P-clips and some little like cabinet L brackets here, which do the job. I'm just not sure. We'll see how practical that is on the track in that current position. My own face takes up quite a lot of the viewing angle, but what it does do is it really gives me a strong view over this blind spot here on this side, which is the weakest point of the visibility so far, because this mirror is quite impeded by the roll cage. So what I'll probably end up doing, assuming I'm allowed, I think I am, is maybe move that and mount that to the cage. Maybe even mount both mirrors to the cage. It'd look a bit wonky if I didn't, I suppose, because when I'm running the half doors, that's all fine. You know, the only reason the mounting points are here is because it's door friendly to have them up here. Whereas because I'll be running half doors, mounting them up on the cage will be fine. So I think that's probably where I'll end up with the mirrors. Obviously, I want to have really good visibility while I'm on track, just to give me more confidence. So yeah, that's kind of it for today. I'll get that tidied up, and then we'll call this kind of electrical gubbins video at a conclusion. Okay, we're all tidy-ish now. It's a bit of an illusion, to be honest, because there's about 4 miles of cable tied up around there. Not sure what we do about all that, but it can hide up there for now. So yeah, I've got the rear camera running down underneath the seat, GPS mounted to the roll cage up here, and then down through I've used the heated wire grommet. So once I've got my half doors on, I'll tether this properly, but I need to leave it kind of loose at the moment because I'll be using the full doors possibly for Donington, depending on what I get time to do. So yeah, so that's all the V-Box, as in as it will get for now. A bit of tidying still to come. Next video will probably be not sure. Final touches for the track day, I think. There's certain things I don't want to do yet. I don't know what to do until after the track day, such as the side impact bar, which is hiding under here. Steering wheel, I've just not got round to stomaching that yet. So yeah, it's kind of getting to the point now where it's track day prep again rather than race prep. Just do what I need to do to get the car track day ready. So next episode will be just track day bits and bobs. Check in with you later.